Welcome back to the Ristophilus Dungeon Guide. We're going to talk about Chamber of Suffering in this video. I'm going to give you some combat tips, loadout tips, and build tips, and just some overall tactics, kind of like a Guardian Bootcamp Episode 5. If you haven't watched 1 through 4, I highly recommend that. There's new and original combat tips that you'll only find from those videos. Nobody else will teach you this stuff, so I will show you the way. Anyways, let's get to Chamber of Suffering and what you got to do. So that plate back there, you have to stand on it. If you get off of it, it starts flaming up and you'll die if you're off of it for too long. You have to kill knights to the left, the right, and center. It doesn't matter which knight you kill, just as long as you kill them, grab the ball that they drop, take it back to the plate, and dump it in that station behind the plate that you're guarding. For your primary, I recommend explosive rounds, drop mag, threat detector, backup mag on a Better Devils or a Nameless Midnight. It's really beast when you have a ton of Thrall or Acolytes trying to charge up on your plate. With the explosive round buff that happened, they do 10% more than non-explosives to crit shot and up to 15% more to body shot, and you can do shared damage, and if it's masterwork, you're also going to make orbs, which goes with recuperation, so you're healed when you touch those orbs. And I highly recommend, if you have a super, to just go ahead and use it every time a yellow knight comes out, because if you have a super and you're not using the Wendigo, you can't get recuperation to proc to heal you. For the Epicurean, I recommend having Demolitionist. Using the Demolitionist Infusion Rifle is just beast. You got range damage, and you can keep getting Hive Armaments procced if you have that on your build, to go with a large blast radius rocket launcher with alloy casing, field prep, and cluster. Sleepless, you're going to find out why that's a god rocket here in just a little bit. The build I'm using is the build that I made a video about the other day, the Ophidian Aspect. The only difference from this build and the one you'll see in that build video is I took one of the discipline mods off and put a mobility mod, because since you're confined to that one plate, it's better to have 8 mobility than it is the discipline mod, because you have Demolitionist, which gives you grenades back anyways after 4 kills, and then I'm not focused that much on intellect and strength. And if you're new to my channel, I test the stats in PvE really in depth. Resilience sucks, don't ever use it in your PvE builds. Recuperation is an important tool, so use your super right away so you can start healing yourself. Your super is not that important here as much as recuperation is. So recuperation is when you pick an orb up, it automatically puts your health back as much as halfway, sometimes more than that, depending on where your health meter is at. There's a back area, that back pillar. Every time you dump a ball, that rocket I just shot, there's going to be a ton of explosive Thrall, and Acolytes piling out of that. So make sure that you bank a rocket off of that to take a ton of them out, and also send a grenade that way to catch any stragglers to proc your Hive Armaments to keep getting heavy ammo. If you're new to the channel and just didn't know, the Menagerie is the ultimate farm spot to get all of the gear you need for Shadowkeep. That's where you get Hive Armaments, Hive Barrier, Hive Repurposing, all those Hive heavy mods, because they're used in everything in this game right now. Farm the Menagerie if you want to get a god rolled in-game build, because it's highly useful. You can see the Ophidian Aspect going to work right here, but if you're on a Titan or a Hunter, use reload gauntlets. Any kind of enhanced reloader is really beast, because the faster you can reload, the less ground the ads cover to be able to start rushing in on you. And don't be afraid to use rockets at your feet as well. Not right at your feet, but if you have Thrall or something rushing in on you, making those Masterwork orbs to leave for later to heal you is great to have. Also, I always talk about using grenades you can stand inside of, such as what you saw right there. That way, if you have a ton of enemies rushing in on you, you can throw the grenade down and then step inside of it, and then they rush on you, they all kill themselves, and you proc your heavy ammo to get more and more to keep throwing over and over. In Guardian Bootcamp Episode 1, I talked about the Sea Walk. If you don't know what the Sea Walk is, I highly recommend watching those Guardian Bootcamp videos. That's when you do like half circles of the shape of a sea whenever your shield bust, to get yourself some recovery time, because it throws their shot pattern off and they gotta relock onto you again. Anytime your shield busts, the game always gives you a second to heal yourself, but if you're caught in a situation like here where they're also throwing grenades at you, that's going to be double the risk, so you have to have that recovery to come back in the fight, and that recuperation when it's almost too late to heal yourself. When you're throwing rockets at the knights above, sometimes they know that you're about to do it, they can just kind of read it, and they'll dodge out of the way real quick. Try doing hip fires mixed with aiming sometimes, because a lot of the time they won't know if you're hip firing and shooting, and they won't dodge out of the way. That's another benefit of having high handling on a rocket launcher. The hip fire is a lot more accurate. Anytime you get your super, go ahead and just throw it, because you need to free yourself to pick up Masterwork orbs again, because the more balls you dump in, the more ads that come and the harder they start getting. And make sure you stand on that plate after you get a ball, because sometimes you have to step off of it to dump it and it might be too late, and the more suffering you get, the less time you can be off the plate. It's also a good idea to jump in the air after you slam a ball in, because sometimes Acolytes will be throwing grenades right after that, and prepare always for that center area, because they're going to start pouring out of that. So either have a grenade ready or a rocket ready. And like I said, don't be afraid to throw rockets at your feet when they rush in on you, because you're going to be making masterwork orbs, as you can see right here. And when you touch it like I just did, I got all my health back, and I have an orb sitting right there in front of me. Always pay attention to your headphones, because it'll alert you and give you a cue, the one that's being the most accurate at shooting at you, whether it's a cursed thrall or a boomer or a sniper way off. You'll always get an audio cue letting you know that there's an ad locked onto you. It's important that you never stop moving the entire time, which goes back to that 8 mobility, because you always need to be moving, and the faster you can move around and the more ground you cover per movement, the less chance you are of being hit by anything, and you can be more alert and just more responsive on your controller. And whenever you go to pick all those balls up and you have ads around, having recuperation and the high mobility really does pay off. Mobility, recovery, demolitionist are the 3 main players in this entire event. The higher tier the activity, the faster bullets fly from the AI, so the recovery and the mobility is that much more important to be able to dodge those shots. If you're at a 6 or lower, you're just really going to be pushing it this entire time, because they're going to keep picking away at your health over and over again, and over time, when you're not getting that health recovered back, those milliseconds and seconds can add up, and it will cause you to eventually have to get off the plate and go hide for cover for a second until you can get some health back, especially if you don't have recuperation. It's not a good idea to pick up every orb that you make, such as right here. I see that orb right there. They will disappear over time, but they take like 30 seconds to a minute to actually go away, so you have plenty of time to kind of go back to it, but you know that's always a fallback point. If your shield gets busted or you start running out of health, you can know that it's sitting there to fall back and touch to stay right back in the fight. And always use an Icarus grip on your rocket and your fusion rifle. If you didn't know, the Icarus grip on fusions cause a lingering effect, so when you do short hops like this, you actually get more accuracy when you first land. About a half a second later, it'll still remain active. You'll see me using that quite a bit, so just pay attention to when I shoot the fusion rifle. Sometimes you'll see me hop around, and that's what I'm doing. I'm proccing the Icarus grip to get a little bit more range before I shoot it, such as right there and right here on this night above. You'll notice that I always stab my fusion rifle at targets. That's because it gives you a better lock-on when you learn how to stab the fusion instead of aiming it and holding down the aim when you shoot it every time. Sometimes the kick pattern's a little bit different, but if you stab the fusion, it's a lot more accurate. The Ophidian Aspect build is hands down my go-to for everything that I've been doing lately. Since I pulled my old ones out of the vault that I had the enhanced rocket loader and enhanced hand cannon loader, I really just haven't even cared about using anything else. When you mix that with Oppressive Darkness and getting that bonus damage with that hella reload speed, you can just crush everything that comes towards you, and they don't ever have time to even like get in position because you reload so fast and throw rockets everywhere when you have the Hive armaments procced. It's just ridiculous. You'll see also that I have Hive barrier as well. That's what that defensive with the timer coming down is. I'm 20% resilient to damage for 10 seconds. It's really beast to have. You're about to start noticing me doing hip fires with my rocket now, because the knights are starting to boom quite a bit. I don't want them to dodge, so I'll waste rockets. They put the shield up. Anytime they put a shield up, it's a go for rocket, because they're not going to be able to dodge at that point. Same with this guy right here. I line my hip fire up and blast that dude to death. They're always less likely to dodge when you hip fire. It's almost like doing a sneak shot on them, because they don't register you're actually going to be shooting at them, so they normally don't dodge out of the way. I'm almost out of ammo, and my shield's about to get busted, and here's the C walk, where I start moving in small circular patterns in the shape of a C until my 8 recovery kicks back in. And also explosive rounds are about to come in clutch mode, and you see me dodge that right there from that knight, because that 8 mobility is freaking crucial to have in here. Pay attention to every piece of ground that I cover every time that I hop. Right there at the explosive round, taking the kill by doing the splash damage. The lower your mobility, the more of a slug you are basically when you hop around. It feels like you're just kind of like cemented to the floor almost, like you're magnetized to the floor is what it kind of feels like. But you're a way more fluent moving whenever you have high mobility. It makes your shots more accurate. It just makes the whole gameplay feel way smoother at higher mobility values of 7 and up. Anytime you see ammo and orbs out in the battlefield, you know you can always run out there and grab it, because there's an orb you can grab as well and get the health back. So always pay attention to where all your masterwork orbs are sitting, because you know those are free spaces to go to as long as that super is not charged. Now we're at the final wave. We're going to get bombarded by a ton more ads, so get ready for that rocket, that enhanced reload from Ophidian Aspect, and that high handling to give us those pinpoint rocket drops. They're about to start throwing 2 knights out at us now, so we have to be even more alert at that 30 frames per second. This may not make a lot of sense, but the trick to speed killing and being in high octane environments like this really is trying to like slow your vision down, keep a clear head. Controlled breathing is kind of a must as well. I know how stupid that sounds, but that really is it. You have a lot of stuff flying at you, and you don't have a case of what I call controller freak out. Make sure that every movement you make is on purpose and not some random act. Every time they push you around, it's almost like chess pieces. This is a clutch recuperation right here. Sweep shot and then catch it in the air. Everything has to be done purposely to keep beast moding and know everything that's about to happen to you before it ever happens. It takes a ton of experience doing it. I mean, nobody starts off Destiny just beast moding it all the time, unless you just came from other games that you were really good at, that you already have kind of a head up. But over time, you realize how the AI act, you learn all their movements, their shot patterns, how they are programmed to sometimes just miss on purpose. If you ever go to patrol and you just stand in front of a Vex, they'll miss you all the time. But the higher the difficulty, the more accurate they start becoming. But it isn't until you hit master levels that they're actually accurate on almost every shot, 99% of the time. And that's when you have to really know your movements and know everything you're doing it all the time, and pre-planning is a must. This is the last ball. I could have beat this a long time ago, but I made it for the purpose of this video to keep beasting out on this. And I also just cut a lot of other clips out when I was using Nameless Midnight with Better Devils, just to put this video together to kind of just, like I said, make another Guardian boot camp, because I haven't made one in a long time. Just keep control, know your surroundings, stay on that plate as much as possible. Don't use your super until a knight is involved in it. That way you can keep freeing up those masterwork orbs. And then when you're done, just shoot that wall, go in, step down, and then watch out where you need to jump. The trick to this part is right when that top spike thing spinning around passes you, fall down and go to the left side. I recommend triple jump if you're on a hunter, but watch, I'll fall down, and then when you get to that second one spinning right there, stop, and then watch it, and then it should take you all the way down to this platform, and then you'll be into the next segment, which is the Harrow. I made a video about that if you want to watch and how the symbols and everything makes sense here and how to navigate your way around to get to the final boss area. But that's it, Guardians. Get your mobility up for this, get good recovery for this, use a good reload gauntlet for this. I recommend rocket launchers, explosive rounds, and fusion rifles with demolitionists. It just really comes in handy here to have that range and the demolitionist proccing to get grenades back. You'll notice that I didn't eat any grenades to get my Devour proccing, even though I was on the Devour subclass. I did that mainly to show you that you actually don't really have to have it. You can still beast mode without needing Devour, or my Rift, I didn't even use that at all either. You Guardians, take it easy. If that helped, share it with somebody. Hit subscribe if you want more videos. If you want to support the channel, join the Beast Squad, hit that join button. Also teespring.com/Ristophilis or paypal.me/Ristophilis to support the channel with a small donation. You Guardians, take it easy. I appreciate all of you who view. I will see you next time.
In space.